And Toronto-based designer Orville Ellis is very aware of that, but he believes that men should be a little more adventurous in the way they dress. That's why he's come out with a really great collection where men can wear his clothes in the boardroom or in a bar. Orville, your background is first and foremost as a student of architecture, and you ended up designing clothing for men. So what happened along the way? How did you make the transition?
Well, what happened is that it's a family growth. Brought up in a family, that does menswear. My dad was a great designer, then in Jamaica, and so I had to grow with it. So it's just a natural process for me to do designs.
Do you use a lot of what you learned in architecture in your design?
A whole lot, especially from the drafting technique, different angles, different construction by doing a pattern, like you do the fabric on the flat, then you do the markings, then you do the pleats. So it's all of a sudden, it's what's on flat becomes what is to be structured and different details that work into it. And a part of that is very much what I do best, and architecture is definitely, a progress in taking design the way exactly where I'm taking it right now.
Men have always been more traditionally conservative than women as far as fashions go. Is that still the case, you find?
I don't think a lot of men are ready for a lot of loud colors or bright colors, but I think they could look at the design structure and take a chance to wear the very subtle details. And I think men are trying to look that way based on detail structure and not necessarily a color scheme thing, because I think the color scheme thing are too noticeable for them to take a risk.
Quoted a lot talking about the global village and how Canadian designers really have to put up a great front in order to be viable in the international market. But what about the other way? Canadian designer not losing his identity when there's so many international influences on him.
For me, I hope people will try and say, okay, that's Orville and he's from Canada. But if I'm in the States and it's Orville based on what I do, they're going to say it's Orville no matter where I'm at. And I don't necessarily want to say, okay, fine, this influence is from Canada. Because if it's a global thing, then Canada is just a name, talking about the designer from Canada. But as I said, if I'm from the States and if I'm based in the States, if I'm based in Paris, then who cares where I'm based? If the identity is there and it's an Orville that is labeled, then I think that's what's going to matter in the long run. I'm not too much of a trend designer. I'm more of a detail designer, which is different from a trend designer, because I think detail will remain no matter what era, and I try to be a saleable designer because that's my survival. And it's important that I create an edge that creates survivability than an edge that creates trend, because trend will go, detail will remain, and that's my label.